What's up, guys? Mr. Chang here. Late night. You can tell the lighting is a little different here. We're going to dive into calculating slope, teaching you how to calculate slope. We did a little of this with the video for D7M, but now we're moving on to VZG, Victor Zebra Gary, VZG, in iXL. And as you might expect, things get a little bit more sophisticated. So in VZG, let me write that down for you. VZG, you are calculating slope based on 2 points, right? You have the coordinates for 2 points. This is VZG. VZG, okay? And before we get started, I think what I'd want to tell you about this is when you're doing VZG, you're going to be, first and foremost, really you're going to have to do this all using the slope formula. So you have to have this formula for slope pretty much memorized in your head. Second, there are a lot of negative integer operations. So you're going to have to deal with adding and subtracting, a little bit of division of negative numbers. So keep that in mind. And if you have some trouble with negative integer operations, like if that's the part that trips you up a little when we're doing that, make sure we talk about it. Like, let's get into office hours and let's make sure that you understand and you have a firm grasp of how to do integer, add and subtract negative numbers, multiply and divide negative numbers. We should lock that down this year for sure for you, but just keep that in mind because you're going to see it a lot. And if you feel like that's where you struggle, then let's make sure we work on that together. All right, so that is my kind of opening thing about working on VZG, finding slope on 2 points. 1, we're going to be using this formula all day long. 2, keep in mind that we're going to be doing a lot of negative integer operations. And if that is a place that you need some help on, we're going to see it a lot, so be aware of it. So VZG, you're going to find the slope of a line that passes through the point 1, 9 and 9, 10. Simplify your answer and write it as a proper fraction, an improper fraction, or an integer. All right, so first thing we got to do, write the coordinates of 2 points where the line intersects the grid lines behind it. We don't need to do that. They do that for you. They give you the 2 points. And I'm going to graph these 2 points for you every time so that you can see what we're talking about, but you do not have to graph it. I'm just going to graph it for you just to show you. But the first point is 1, 9. That's up here on my little graph. And then the next point is 9, 10. So my graph ends right there. So let's just say there's a 9 there and then there's a 10 up there. All right, so we have those 2 points in red. And you can see that there is a little line that will go right through them, right? So if we put a line here like this, boom, that line goes through those 2 points. So we need to figure out the slope of this line using the 2 points that we have, 1, 9 and 9, 10, okay? So I'm going to draw a little triangle here just to remind us that slope is the vertical distance, which I always do in red, so I'll keep the red going here. It's that. It's a ratio of the vertical change with the horizontal change. So we've got to figure out the slope of this line in red right here. You connect these 2 points that they give you, you get a line, we're figuring out the slope. All right, so first things first, we've got to use this formula. We're going to subtract the 2 y coordinates from each other, which is essentially your vertical change. And then we're going to subtract the two x coordinates from each other. Vertical change, I'm going to use the delta sign, the triangle for change, and horizontal change. Divide these two. Okay, so the y coordinate of 0.2 minus the y coordinate of 0.1. Again, you can always just decide which point you want to make 0.1 and versus 0.2, but I'm going to call this 9, 10. That's going to be 0.2, and 1, 9 will be 0.1 for me. You can switch these around if you want, just as long as you keep the order of the subtraction the same in the numerator and denominator. So if 9, 10 is 0.2, that makes 10 the y coordinate of 0.2, y2. And that makes 9 the x coordinate of 0.2, x2. And then in 0.1, this y coordinate is the y coordinate of 0.1, that's y1. And the number 1 is the x coordinate of 0.1. Okay, so I've got everything labeled out. And now I just need to follow the formula. So I will start with my numerator first, which is the y coordinate. So my slope, and I'm going to use the letter m to stand in for slope, is the y coordinate of 0.2, which is 10, minus the y coordinate of 0.1, which is 9. And then I'm going to divide that by the difference of the x coordinate of 0.2, which is 9, minus the x coordinate of 0.1, which is 1. 10 minus 9 is 1. 9 minus 1 is 8. And there you go. The slope of our line is 1/8. And the nice thing is this is already simplified, so we don't have to do step 3. And if you look at this, that makes sense, right? Because if I count the number of boxes, you can kind of see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares going horizontally. And you can see 1 square going vertically. So this looks a lot like the triangle that I drew. I'm going to put it into iXL and see how I do. And wow, that was very weird. That's the first time I've ever submitted something in iXL and it didn't actually calculate the score for me. That's really strange. Let me just put in a number here. Okay, well now it's starting to work. Okay, that's good. All right, well, I'm sorry we didn't get the payoff for that. Let's just try another one. So here we are, smart score of 0. Let's work another example. All right, so we don't need to do step 1 because the coordinates are given to us. Just cross that out. Then we can go straight to our slope. We've got a point at 7, 1, so that's 7, 7, 2, so that's right here. That's 7, 2. And then we've got a point at 10, 4. Oh, so wow. This is 9 and 10. So I've just got to extend. And then there's a point at 10, 4 right there. Sorry about that. Like you can't, I have to go off my little graph paper. But we're going to run a line that passes through those 2 points. So your line is going to look like this. Right there. That's your line. It goes through 7, 2 and 10, 4. And again, I'll be over here. I'm going to label 7, 2. That's going to be my point 1. And then 10, 4 will be my point 2. Right? And that makes the 4 the y coordinate of 0.2. That's y2. And that makes the 2 the y coordinate of 0.1. And the 10 becomes the x coordinate of 0.2. That's what that little 2 means. And the 7 becomes the x-coordinate of 0.1. Okay, so now I've got all my points labeled. I can go straight to using my formula. And my formula is y2, the y-coordinate of 0.2 minus the y-coordinate of 0.1 divided by the x-coordinate of 0.2 minus the x-coordinate of 0.1. As long as you keep the subtraction order the same in the numerator and the denominator, it does not matter which point you call 0.1 or which point you call 0.2. You can swap them around. You can swap them around just as long as you keep the order the same in the numerator and denominator. I will say that every single time. So 4 minus 2, that is y2 minus y1. And then on the bottom in my denominator, I'm going to take the x-coordinate of 0.2, which is 10, minus the x-coordinate of 0.1, which is 7. And there you go. 4 minus 2 is 2. 10 minus 7 is 3. My slope is 2/3. I don't need to simplify that anymore. It is already fully simplified. And if we looked at our triangle, we can see that this point is 1, 2, 3. Looks like it's close to 3, and then 1, 2, up. 1, 2. There you go. 2 vertical, 3 horizontal. So this slope matches a triangle that we would have constructed. Now let's see if iXL works. 2 divided by 3, 2 over 3, 2 divided by 3, 2/3 is my slope. Wonderful, I got 10 points, I'm happy. All right, let's do this. Chugging along. Let's bring back. All right, here we go. A point at 10, 9. Oh, they keep giving me these points that are off my little graph paper. I'm sorry. So pretend that this extends 9, 10, 10, 9. That's up here. That's 0.1. And then the next point is 2, 8, which is right there, 2, 8. So I've got these points, 10, 9 and 2, 8. And you need a line that passes through these 2 points. That's what that green line looks like. All right. So we need to find the slope of this line. And once again, let's take a look at our coordinates. So we have 10, 9 up here. And we'll call that point 2. And then we have 2, 8. And I'll call that point 1. And again, you can, whichever one you want to call point 1, point 2, it doesn't matter, just as long as you keep the order the same when you do the subtraction in the formula. So the number 2 is the x-coordinate of 0.1. That's what x little 1 means. The number 8 is the y-coordinate of 0.1. And going over here, the number 9 is the y-coordinate of 0.2. And the number 10 is the x-coordinate of 0.2. That's x sub 2. That's what the 10 is. Now I've got all my points labeled. I can use my slope formula. So first, I'm going to subtract my y-coordinates. So y2 minus y1. And for me, that is y2 is 9 and y1 is 8. And then I'm going to divide that by the x-coordinate of 0.2, which is 10, minus the x-coordinate of 0.1, x2 minus x1. And lo and behold, we've got 1 over 8. Nine minus 8, 10 minus 2, 1/8. That's my slope. And again, if I want to look over here at whatever triangle would have been created between these 2 points, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 across horizontally, 1 down vertically. That would be my right triangle. You can see it kind of all matches up. That is how you measure the slope. It is the ratio of the vertical change to the horizontal change. The y coordinates are your vertical. Your x coordinates are horizontal, going left to right. Vertical is up and down. And so you can see that that ratio is 1 to 8 on any point in that line. And so let's see how we do. 1 divided by 8. Submit. Good. All right, let's kick this up a notch. Let's just take this up a level. We're going to go to level 81. Oh my goodness, that I don't have numbers that big on my graph. So I'm going to take it down a notch. Well, there's only 2 notches I guess I can go. I can go from 81 to 1. All right, let's just go to, well, I'll do 81. Humor me. I'll do 81. All right, here we go. We haven't done any with negative slopes yet, which kind of bummed me out. So I'm just going to force this one to be negative. So we've got 2 points. Pretend that every number on my little graph is multiplied by 10. So instead of 74 and 83, I'm just going to go 7 and 8. So somewhere around here, 7, 83. You got a point there, and then 80 and 15. So you got an 80 and a 15. You would be somewhere around here. Wow, this is a very interesting line. 74, 83, and 80, 15. So just pretend I multiplied every single one of these numbers by 10. So instead of 1, it's 10. Instead of 2, it's 20. It's 30, etc. So you can kind of, you don't have to graph this. I just want to show you what it looks like and connect these 2 coordinates to an actual line that passes through them, so you understand philosophically, or conceptually what it is we're doing. So there's the line that passes through those 2 points. I'm going to put our coordinates back up there. So we've got 74, 83. That's 1 point. And then down here, we've got 80, 15. Okay, so I'm going to make 74, 83.1. And I'm going to make 80, 15, 0.2. Let me erase some of these marks over here. Okay. Now that I've got my points labeled, that makes 83. Oops, that's not what I want. 83. Now that I've got my points labeled, I'm going to label them even further. So this is 0.1. So 83 becomes the y coordinate of 0.1. 15 becomes the y coordinate of 0.2. 74 becomes the x coordinate of 0.1. And 80 becomes the x coordinate of 0.2. Now I've got everything labeled. I'm going to go use my formula. Remember my formula first, my numerator. When I subtract y coordinates from each other, I'm getting the vertical change in the slope. So y2 minus y1. And that means I'm doing 15 minus 83. It's my numerator. Yay, we've got a negative number here. Quite excited. And then underneath it, we've got our denominator, which is our horizontal change. I'm subtracting x coordinates from each other. X's go left and right, as you know. So that's the horizontal change. And I'm going to go 80. That's the x coordinate of 0.2 minus 74, which is the x coordinate of 0.1, x1, right? So, yay, finally, some negative numbers. 15 minus 83. What is 15 minus 83? So I know that 83 is the number with the much larger value. So I'm just going to subtract 83, 15 from 83, and get 68. And I know that 68 is negative because this 83 is much bigger than the 15. So it's pulling me all the way past the 0 into negative territory. It's the much bigger number is your, I believe it's called your subtrahend. And then 80 minus 74, that is simple subtraction, that is 6. So now we've got 68 divided by 6. I know that we can simplify this. I mean, I think that there's definitely a common factor here. I think it's 2, because these are even numbers. So we need to do step 3, which is we need to simplify our answer. Okay, simplify your answer. That means you need to take it down to its lowest form. And let's see. Let's just see what happens when I divide the top and the bottom by 2. So negative 68 divided by 2 is negative 34. And let me do that in red. Negative 34 divided by 3. Does 3 go into 34? No, it does not. So that is the lowest form. This is written as an improper fraction. So I'm going to submit that as my slope. Negative 34 thirds. That's the same as, what, 10 wholes? No, 11 wholes and 1/3, 11 and 1/3. But I'm not going to do 11 and 1/3 because it says a proper fraction, which is one where the numerator is smaller than the denominator, an improper fraction, which is what we have here, negative 34 over 3, negative 34 thirds. That's an improper fraction because the improper means the denominator is smaller than the numerator. Negative 34 divided by 3. Keep your fingers crossed. That's right. We got 2 points. Yay. All right, guys. This video has been going on for 20 minutes. Hopefully, you understand how to calculate slope. When you've got 2 points, you want to connect a line that goes through those 2 points, and you're finding the slope of that line that crosses those 2 points. You're going to use this formula right there. And you're going to be very cognizant of keeping the subtraction the same for the numerator and denominator. And you're going to keep track of all the negatives, right? Because you're going to have to subtract numbers that might have negative numbers in them. You are going to have to simplify numbers where you're going to be dividing negative numbers by a positive number. So negative number operations, being able to add, subtract, multiply, divide, positive and negative numbers together. Something that this is a really great exercise for helping you with. All right, folks. Hope this helps. On to the next one. Thank you.